Okay,
17th of February, Rabbi Furst, Parsha Hashavua Mishpatim.
thank you. And good morning. As you said, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here, Yeshivat Samanapshi. Here in Shalom Kerem, this is our Erev Shabbos, Parshas Mishpatim, Shana Tavshin Pei Gimel Shir. Okay, very good. To start, any particular points that are concerning anyone on the Parsha to begin with? Can deal with any.
Well, if you want, and if you feel you're prepared, there is a statement here in Kaf Aleph, Pasuk Kaf Zion, 21:27. When he knocks out the tooth of his slave or the tooth of his slave woman, he shall send him to freedom in return for his tooth. So my question is, what's going on here? What is this idea of freedom? I presume, first of all, this is a Canaanite slave.
Yeah, that's true, right?
What is the idea of freedom for a Canaanite slave? Why is it not permitted to free a Canaanite slave ever? Is this freedom a reward to the slave in exchange for the fact that he lost his tooth? Is it a punishment to the owner for having abused his slave? What's going on here?
Okay, so first of all, I have to tell you, I don't know. That's number one.
That's what I thought you'd say.
But okay, now that I gave that preface, I tell well, I can take a guess. I'm not sure if I'll be right, but I can take a guess.
Okay.
So first of all, let's take a look at the situation. The situation is that this slave got his tooth knocked out, right?
Right.
That means that something happened between him and his owner, his master, that got his master sufficiently upset at him to knock his tooth out, right?
Right.
So I would imagine if we have to place,
since it's forbidden to do so, we might go further and say that the owner is at fault.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're not supposed to cause sorrow to anybody, anything, even animals. You're not supposed to cause sorrow to. You want to avoid sorrow. It's not nice to cause pain and suffering to anything in the world, right? But I have a suspicion. That this slave is not completely innocent here, right?
Right.
Not completely innocent. I mean, again, the Torah is in the pasuk. The Torah is talking about a general situation. It's not talking about a specific case that happened. It's talking about a general situation.
Right.
Right? So obviously, there can be cases when the if you want to point blame, it could be that the slave is at fault. It could be the owner is at fault. It could be that they're both mutually at fault, depending on what led to the situation. But there's obviously something drastically wrong with their relationship, right?
Right.
If for whatever let's put it this way, for whatever reason it occurred, right? But nevertheless, this thing shouldn't happen. Right? It shouldn't. Whatever's going on, it shouldn't reach such a state where the tooth is knocked out and it comes to such a situation where what's going to be mutually beneficial for both people. So in this case, the Torah determines that the best thing is just to bring an end to the relationship and just let the slave go free. Like there's no rectification for this, and it's to everyone's mutual benefit. Just let the slave go free. Could be. I could take a look. 1 second.
While looking,
yeah.
While looking, I'll read what Rashi says.
Very good. Yes,
if a man smite the eye of his servant, because it doesn't have for comment for that one, for the tooth. If a Canaanite servant, but the Hebrew servant does not go free on account of his tooth or his eye having been knocked out by his master, as we have stated in our comment on the passage, Lo Chatzai, I think, Katzos Ha'avarim. He shall surely let him go free for his eye's sake. Similarly, if he cuts off one of his 24 tips of limbs, like his toes, ears, and that. But why? Since the precept is not applicable to the eye and tooth alone, but to 24 limbs, are both the eye and the tooth mentioned. One would have sufficed, because if only the eye were mentioned and not the tooth, also I might have said, what is the characteristic of the eye? It came into the world together with him. So too, the law is applicable only to such limbs as came into the world together with him, but not to the tooth, for the tooth did not come to the world together with him. If, on the other hand, only the tooth had been mentioned and not the eye also, I might have said the law applies even to a case when the master knocked out the child slave's tooth, which grows again. More literally, which has a substitute after a time. Therefore, the eye is also mentioned to intimate that the law can be applied only when the master knocks out the tooth of his adult slave, which, like the eye, does not grow again.
Right.
That's the end of that. So that's something there.
Right, very good. So
Canaanite slave can go free, but not the Hebrew.
right, the Hebrew slave doesn't go free, no. Only 1 second. One second. Okay. Okay. I'm just looking at Rav Furst. Maybe he would explain something here. Let's see. Tasha's name. Okay. No. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so the Malbim says a little bit here. He goes into one second. Yeah. Okay, so I can't really that's about it. That's all I can tell you right now, Lou, about this. That I think it's just facing the situation that it's not a healthy relationship to maintain anymore. If the Eved is so stubborn or uncooperative, right? So best thing is you just get rid of him, right?
But that, given what Roy just read, that creates a big problem. Because you gotta say this, you gotta ask, what about the Ebony Ivri?
No, so that by the Eved Ivri, there'll be other whatever that he can take him. There'll be damages he'll have to pay for him. He'll have to pay the damages for the Eved Ivri.
But why are you leaving him in this bad relationship?
Well, by the Eved Ivri, he can actually, it's possible, some of the Meforshim explain this, that the Eved Ivri, because he's going to get money damages from the owner, he can now buy himself out of his, in general, it could be conceivably possible that he could buy himself out of his freedom with the money he gets from the monetary damages.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. 1 second. Okay, so the Amic Dubber is of Netziv. Lived about 150 years ago. 150 years ago was the Rosh Yeshiva, the Yeshiva in Volozhina. As he writes as follows. It says here that this is also going to answer. He's touching on the point about the difference between the Eved Ivri and the Eved Yisrael. It says Hachmir Hakasev b'Maka Ainu Eved Yosem b'Maka Ain Adam Yisrael. The Torah is more stringent with the person who hits out the eye of his Eved Kanani more than he is. The Torah is strict with hitting the eye out of a Jewish slave. Shai Sham Einu Mishalam Elademe Einu Shalevit. Because over there, by the Israel, he only has to pay for the Evid's eye. If he knocks out a Jewish slave's eye, he has to pay for the damage of the eye. Bekan Mavsid Kol Evid. Here he's losing the whole Evid. If you lose Shava Mea money, even if the Evid is worth quite a lot of money. Meaning the Torah doesn't make any distinction how much the Evid is worth, right? The Tamadavar, right? The reason for this is Bahalech Loshin Parsha Desham Achal Ki Yinsu Anashi. It's the if you look at the how did the Parsha start? The Parsha started Chaf Beis. You see Pasuk Chaf Beis?
Off base.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I've got it.
Yeah, who'd like to read it?
This is in 21.
Chapter 21, chapter 21, Pasuk 21, 22, 21.
All right. If men strive and hurt a woman with a child, that it? Respond. Is that the one?
Yes.
So that her fruit depart from her, and yet there is no mischief further. He shall surely be amerced, Amerced, according as the husband of the wife will lay upon him, and he shall give as the arbiters determine. And if there be any further mischief, then thou shalt give soul for a soul, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, I suppose, and foot for a foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, wheel for wheel, Wheal, for wheel. And if a man smite the eye of his servant, or the eye of his maidservant, and cause it to perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. And if he causes his manservant's tooth, or his maidservant's tooth to fall out, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake.
Oh, so the beginning of the Parsha, as the Netziv, the McDover points out, the beginning of the Parsha is talking about people fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So this situation, which is existing between the slave and his master, they're also fighting. Now, he goes on to say, if the Parsha is talking about people fighting, right? So in Kain Hayam Machmas Mitzvahs V'derech Ha'odam Dios Ham Levivon V'shashema Machim Oso. Person gets very furious, excited when he's being hit, right? That's with regular people.
Mm-hmm.
Ein kein Adam ve'eved ein bar bezeh ha'ofen shenitzavu zeh im zeh. The beginning of the Parsha was talking about, he's changing it all around. The beginning of the Parsha is that you're talking about regular people getting into fights. Okay. But he says by an Adon and an Eved, by a master and his slave, it doesn't happen that way, right? It doesn't happen that you get an Eved and an Adon stam get into fights. The only thing that the Adon and the Eved could be fighting about is because the Eved is not doing the will of his master. not doing the will of his master. Ela bishvil shelo osa eved kiratzona adon. Haka es einar bekas. Because the Eved did not do the will of his master, that's why he got hit in his eyes through the anger of his master. Mashum hachi on shogadol. Because of this, his punishment is great. So he's actually turning the whole thing around. Right? The master is not losing anything. The master, the one who's losing here, the one who's getting the punishment is the slave. The slave is now going out. He has to go out free. He's sent away. Right? And that's a punishment to this slave. The Adon, what's he going to do? He has a slave, and as you mentioned earlier, Lou, it's forbidden to free a slave, right?
Right.
So what's this slave owner going to do with an Eved that doesn't want to listen to him? What's he supposed to do with him?
Nothing much you can do unless you negotiate.
They don't negotiate with a slave.
Oh,
Maybe you torture him. Maybe you torture him.
all right. That's negotiating. No, all right.
I see you have experience with this, Roy.
No, fortunately. And is this a good time to ask, what if it's an accident?
If it was accidental, well, that's a question, right? Are we only talking where it was done intentionally? But let's say the Adon was picking up a broom and it poked out the Eved's eye or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Good question. I don't know.
Well, it says with a rod. Does that imply that it's not an accident?
I imagine so. The way I understand the Parshas, this was intentionally. It wasn't accidentally. What the halacha is in an accident, that you have to see the halachas for. I don't know.
Mm. All that we're reading here, and haven't read, but all that we're reading here to do with slaves, that's the basis for articulating the din on slaves, is it? Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
This is the basis for laws of treating a slave. I mean, this is the law of treating a slave, but it would be expanded outside the Chumash.
Yeah. Well, for example, the Rambam explains about the laws of a slave. You have to treat him with respect. You can't just treat him like a dog, or less.
Anyway, so we still haven't got Lou's question answered.
Well, no, it's a certain way we do that. That is going out free is really a punishment. This is a punishment for the Eved.
But he's still going out free.
Right, but he's going to have to find himself room and board, take care of himself. Right?
He's going out with money? Yes.
No.
No?
Doesn't get any money. He'll be on the sidewalks now. right? He didn't listen. He didn't listen to his master.
Mm.
He got his master so angry that he knocked out his eye or his tooth. And look, everyone's gonna ask about this Eved. Hey, why don't you have an eye? Why don't you have a tooth? What's he gonna answer?
Mm.
I had a wicked master who abused me.
No, we're gonna say you don't listen. If you were a good slave and listened to their master, he would have treated you nice. He would have treated you nice. Jews are very nice people. Right? They're not wicked people. So you understand from this Eved walking around without a tooth or without an eye, he must be a very stubborn type of a person. So what kind of work is he gonna get? What kind of work is he gonna get?
Mm.
On the other hand, he becomes a Jew.
That we have to take a look at. When he becomes, he needs to get shikur or not. One second. That's not. I'm not so clear. I'm not so sure about what his status is right now. When he goes out, what's his status?
Is
Yeah,
there a Mishnah that says that a rabbi freed his slave in order to complete a minyan?
yeah, right. That's when he was freed. Here's Yotze, Yotze, L'chavshi yashalchenu, right? L'chavshi yashalchenu. He'll be set free. Now, whether that means he's upgraded now to the status of a Jew, I'm not sure.
We have to have a bris.
And a mikveh.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to delay the minyan probably to the
No. He had the bris and the mikveh when he first became a slave.
He has a year. He has a year to become chayiv in mitzvahs keisha. He has to have the bris and the yeah.
Yeah, that would be a pretty late minyan.
Mhm. Let's see. One second.
I've lost track of what we're looking for.
Okay, well, right now we're trying to determine as to whether or not he is considered a Jew at this point.
When he gets released.
Yes, that's right.
But he's. Did you say that he's already had a bris and mikveh and all that?
That he has a year's time to decide to makabel mitzvahs keisha, and have a bris and tefillah. He has a year. He can't force him. We can't force him to do it, but he has a year to decide whether he wants to do it or not. If he doesn't do it after a year, we say, okay, we're going to sell you to a goy. You don't want to join us, so we'll sell you to a goy and see if Jose is nicer to you than we are. And after all, you get nice kosher food with us, right?
Mm-hmm. And you get treated properly. more or less.
Right. Right.
Definitely better than with a goy.
Yeah. So I don't see, not sure if where it's explained here about the one second. Yeah. Okay. One second. Let's see here. One second. I'm looking at the Rambam here. Okay, one second.
Canaanite's servant serves his master forever. That's in Leviticus 25:46, while the Hebrew servant goes free after 6 years.
Right.
But surely the one that smites his servant, is included in this general statement, verse 12, whosoever smiteth a man so that he die shall certainly be put to death. Why then is this case mentioned at all?
You said Leviticus 25:36?
46.
46.
The Rambam says here that the only ones that go lecherus for the eyes and the teeth and the Rosh Hashanah, only if they had Mila and Tefillah.
If only they had what?
Only if they had Mila and Tefillah. Only if they had already taken on mitzvahs Keisha. If they didn't have, it was without Mila and he was without Tefillah, he doesn't go out.
What's the second word? Mila and what?
Tefillah, going to the mikvah.
So if he doesn't have Mila and mikvah, then he doesn't take on the mitzvahs of a woman.
Right? And he does not go out if he gets his eye knocked out.
I mean, he stays a slave, but he's not part Jewish.
Right. In terms of monetarily, he's a slave. Spiritually, he's still a non-Jew. Oh. Rambam also answers, he says here, let's say the owner knocked out his eye or knocked out his tooth without kavanah. Let's say he was throwing something at his behemoth and it hit the evidence instead. Lo yotz lecheres. He doesn't go out if it was a mistake. So that answers another question we had, right?
So, so what was the conclusion? If it was a mistake, he does not go out free?
Does not.
Ah. Hmm.
One second. Let's see here. There's discussion about whether or not he gets paid for the eye or the tooth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about that. Yeah, okay, that's something to think about. Okay. All right, fine. Okay, we have some, so good, we got some questions answered and we still have some questions unanswered. All right,
Well, thank
very
you
good.
for indulging me.
No, very good, fine, very good, good point to try and think about and understand. It's a shame. All right, listen, you're supposed to have good Erev Shabbos. And hope to see you at the beginning of the week.
Amen.
And to be well too. Have a nice, warm, dry Shabbos.
Hashem, that's the weather report, warm and dry.
No.
Inside your dira.
Yeah.
Yeah. And enjoy your learning and be well.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you very much.
Okay. I'll see you, Lou, where on Rabbi Levitt's.
Yes, I believe he's hosting.
Very
Okay.
good. Thank you both. We'll see you beginning of the week. Thank you.
Okay, Rabbi, have a good Shabbos.
Right.
Thank you,
Bye.
Lou. Thank you, Roy. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.